Well, hi everybody, David here from Mongrel Motorsports. Today we've got this 66 Ford Falcon in the shop, and it's got a really bad misfire problem, backfiring and coughing and doesn't want to go up a hill, and all kinds of bad things are happening to this car. And it's not stock, so we have to determine what the problem is, if it is a factory problem or some of the aftermarket performance parts that were put on this car. So I'm going to bring you along as I diagnose what might be wrong with this car. Well, the first order of business is we want to get out all of our diagnostic tools. And as you can see here, I have spent money over the years on a lot of different materials and tools to try to figure out these cars and their problems. So we'll have to see which one of these will help us diagnose it today. We also have the laptop computer, which of course we have to have nowadays. And you also need this cell phone, because you might have to phone a friend if you can't figure it out yourself. And as a last resort, we always have these tools that we can go to if nothing else pans out. Well, the first step in doing a diagnostic is to see if we have a check engine light. And on this car, we do have the light comes on when you start it, and it goes out once the car is running. I'm not going to start it because we're sitting here in the shop, but it is, I believe this light here is our check engine light on a 1966 car. And as I said, when you start the car, it does go out. So has it stored any codes? Well, you never know. It might have a code stored in it, even though you don't have a constant check engine light. So I've got my OBD2 reader here, and all you would have to do is plug this in down here somewhere. Okay, this car does not have an OBD2 port. It must be pre-OBD2. Maybe it's an OBD1. So we're going to have to resort to a different way of doing the diagnostic. All right, let's see what we've got under the hood as far as modifications and so forth. And okay, so we don't have a stock engine here. First thing we notice is it's got one of these hot air intake modifications. Now you want to do this to your high performance car because molecules, when they're cold, are very lazy and they don't want to move, quickly. So if you can get more hot air into the combustion process, then your fuel and air molecules will move much quicker and provide you with better performance. So this is definitely a good idea here. And we're going to have to look at some of the other things here. It looks like we've got a custom ignition system here because we've got a chrome sticker on our coil and some type of updated distributor thing going on here. So we're going to look into all that and see what the problem, if the problem might be lying in any of these items here. But I think first we're going to have to look at the fuel system because it might be caused by that. All right, this might be hard to see, but this car does not have its stock carburetor on it. It has an updated Edelbrock fuel ingestion system, and so this is going to be a customized way of delivering fuel to the engine, and it's fully tunable, of course. So let's hook the laptop up and see what we can determine is going on with this. All right, so we're going to plug in our leads to the fuel injection system port for diagnostic purposes, and we'll run our laptop off of that and see if we can determine what's going on. The Edelbrock fuel ingestion system is an earlier version than say the Holley Sniper. Now Holley did also have fuel ingestion systems as well, but the Edelbrock is, in my opinion, a superior design. And you want to make sure that your key is in the off position for this. You don't need to have it turned on. The computer is going to read directly from the fuel ingestion system, and we can set the parameters without that being on. So we're going to do that now. I've got my parameter table all set up here, and we've got a few things that are not where they should be. So we're going to move these around to try to retune the system. Be very careful here. It's a little hard to do. This is a very archaic system, and you know, you got to be very cautious about how you proceed with this. So we've reset some of these parameters now, and hopefully, if there's anything wrong with the fuel system, that it will be corrected by modifying this table. Okay, so test driving after resetting the fuel parameters did nothing. Seems like the fuel system is actually working fine. So we're going to go into looking at the ignition system next, because that's really the only other logical place to go from here. Now, normally the first thing we want to do is check our ignition control module. And in the 66 Falcon, the ignition control module is located here. And it's pretty easy to test. You just turn it on. If you get your lights on the dash, then you know it's working as it should. Okay, so that brings us back to the distributor and ignition system. So let's see what we've got going on in here. This does not belong in this car. This large cap would not be period correct. So we know that something unusual is happening in here. And if we take this off and out of the way, and we look down in here, we see, oh yes, this is a pre-transistor electronic ignition. And this has, as you can see there, it has a tunable parts in it. So you can modify this this arrangement in here to change the spark to the plugs. It's a pretty wild system. It's a little old now. I don't see these too much anymore, but yeah, that's an electronic ignition system with tunable parts. Very cool. So we'll check the tuning on that and see if that solves our problem. Well, more disappointment. That did not do anything to solve our problem. So what do we do now? Well, we move on to the final diagnostic tool that we have in our toolbox, and that is going to be the visual diagnostic tool. Now, these are easy to come by. Pretty much, you don't have to pay for them. They're already installed in your hardware, and so all you need to do is use these two devices here, and you might be able to diagnose the problem. Let's see if that works. Well, trying to diagnose electrical problems on cars is always difficult and very time consuming, and as you can see, we've gone through multiple steps trying to determine what the cause of this misfire is. But finally reaching to the point where we have used our visual diagnostic tools, here's what the problem is. We have a spark plug lead, also known as a lightning hose, that was laying on the manifold, and you can see here that it's started to burn through. And that was shorting out and arcing within the engine area and causing us to have a really bad misfire. So that's what was the cause of it. Now all we have to do is correct the problem. All right, and we've solved the problem here. I went to my inventory of automotive tools and equipment and found this roll of electron barrier tape, which is what you're going to need to cover that flaw in the wire up. Now eventually we're going to replace these wires because they're kind of old, but for now, to keep it running properly, we can just use this electron barrier tape and cover up that area. We'll trim this off and wrap it there. And you want to pick this up at your local auto parts or hardware store. Believe it or not, it's available to consumers. It's surprisingly not expensive. So get yourself some of that, keep that in your toolbox, and you'll be able to diagnose and repair your car as we have here today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care.